Good afternoon, everyone. It's Friday, February 13th. Let's take a look at the markets for the week. So I'll start out with soybeans here. We had a pretty exciting last week on beans, followed through to this week, mainly regarding China, potential trade, rollback on tariffs and so forth. We'll dive into it here. So for the week, we had old crop beans up about 18 cents, new crop beans up 20. So modest gains there. Last week, we had some pretty big gains as well. But what really affected the market this week was following Trump's comments originally that he said he suggests China should buy another 8 million metric tons of US soybeans for old crop, which is a huge jump. Not only did that happen, the market kind of traded up higher, digested it, if you will. And then come midweek this week, there was an article from a China news outlet suggesting that maybe China would roll back US tariffs for about 1 year. So kind of a 1 year grace period, trade, no tariffs, etc. So I think the market took that and said, okay, well maybe China's actually willing to buy US soybeans just to try and rebuild the US and China trade relationship, even if they are a premium to Brazil. Right now, we got to remember, we're over a $1 premium to Brazilian soybeans. So kind of strange. Economically, it really doesn't make sense for China or any other country in that hemisphere to be buying our soybeans, because Brazilian soybeans are starting to come out of the field and they're over $1 per bushel cheaper. So aside from that, we really didn't see a lot of news in soybeans. The weather in South America has become a little less threatening. Brazilian harvest is progressing rapidly. Argentinian heat has kind of left, dissipated, so their crop's not under as much stress as what it was here a couple weeks ago. So really quiet out of South America right now. Everything's just kind of rotating around this potential China trade, and are they actually going to show up this year and buy another 8 million metric tons of US soybeans? If we look at the corn side, corn has been pretty boring in relation to soybeans. Old crop corn for the week settled up $0.015. New crop corn was up about 7 cents. And what's interesting about new crop corn is now the futures are trading back to the same level we were pre our January WASDE report. So all the losses that we had in new crop corn back in January, we've since regained. Another key factor about new crop corn prices and new crop bean prices is we're in the middle of our February pricing window for crop insurance. So far, we're tracking about a dime behind last year on corn, roughly 460-ish December corn average. However, new crop soybeans are tracking closer to 60 cents ahead of where we were last year. So as you can see, the corn to soybean price ratio is starting to favor soybeans to some extent. So if we can keep this up, it would suggest maybe we won't see as big a corn acres as what we saw last year and so forth. So we're going to continue to watch that here through February. Obviously see where we settle out and kind of make some price predictions based off of that. For the week, something interesting is funds were big buyers of soybeans last week, big buyers again this week. So as of Wednesday, they're now long an estimated 123,000 contracts of soybeans. So they were buyers of corn as well, just not in as big of a way. They're still short corn, roughly 50,000 contracts. One thing to note here though, is the funds being long over 100,000 contracts of soybeans is a pretty major position, So back in November, whenever they got long, it was a similar level to this. You saw how much we sold off in the weeks to follow. So I think we need to be careful here. I mean, a lot of this does feel like positive momentum as far as the US and China trade relation goes. However, Brazil is still the largest soybean producer in the world, and they're priced much cheaper than we are. So things could go south quickly and we could erode a lot of the premium we're seeing right now. So I think it only makes sense to keep selling into the soybean rally here. If you haven't priced any new crop soybeans, I think it's wise to do so. So we'll continue to watch that. However, one more thing to mention before we go. We do have average pricing starting on April 1st. Sign up is now through the end of March essentially. If you remember the last couple of years, that's been a really good pricing program on corn. We priced an equal amount of bushels every day, April through the middle of June, to come up with a seasonally high average price. And like I said, that's performed really well, especially on corn the last couple of years. So if you have any questions about that, give us a call and we'll talk to you next week.